Hey, YouTube world, this is Matt Breckwald from the Off Farm Income Podcast. I am just getting started adding video to my podcast, and you are seeing, well, I did some a long time ago, but what you're seeing really is the first of what's going to become an additional video on YouTube that's going to go with what I'm doing on the podcast. So if you've been listening for a long time and now you found me on YouTube, thank you so much, but you haven't been missing a lot on YouTube. I'm just getting started. This is episode 685 that we're producing today, and I get to interview a nice young lady named Mallory Burgener, who is coming to us from Lakeland College in Illinois. She's a former chapter reporter at, let's see, you'll see me looking down at my paper here, at Central A&M High School in Moweaqua, Illinois. And she's going to be talking to us today all about building her show pig operation and how she's chosen her major in college and how she wants to return to the classroom as an FFA advisor. I always love these interviews with students who want to come back and they've been inspired by their FFA advisors. They want to come back to the classroom. Well, everybody, since this is the first one I'm doing, I guess I'll point a few things out. So you see behind me a Montana State University banner. I am all duded up today. I've got a very old Montana State University t-shirt on and a hat as well. And of course, I'm always pimping out Montana State University, great agricultural college that I got my ag degree at, so I'm always doing a shameless plug for them. But basically, this is my studio. I call it the farm studio, and here we are on my small farm in Kuna, Idaho. And I really do appreciate you joining me, and I plan on putting these up regularly from this point going forward. So thank you so much for being here, everybody, and we will jump into this interview with Mallory Burgener starting right now. Joining me today is Mallory Burgener, and she is coming to us from Lakeland College, where she's studying agricultural business as well as agricultural supply, and she's a former chapter reporter as well as section reporter at Central A&M High School in Moweaqua, Illinois. Mallory, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. That was a mouthful for me to say. I had to say your last name correctly. I had to say Moweaqua. Did I get it all right?
Yeah, you did get it all right. It's a lot.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and joining us today. It's always fun for me to be able to speak with FFA students and kind of hear more about their journey. And how I generally start the show off is just by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself so our audience can get to know who they're listening to. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, Mallory.
I'm Mallory.
Sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that. How old are you now?
I am 18 years old.
Okay. Now, when you are at home, when you're not at Lakeland College, are you on a farm, are you in town, or something kind of in between?
So I currently live on campus for my schooling, but I go home on the weekends when I have to work and stuff to see my family and when I don't have to work, just stuff like that. But my family does have a small grain operation and a small show pig operation in Moweaqua.
Oh, okay. So now, when you say a small grain operation, what does that mean?
Just a couple 100 acres that we farm for our landlords.
Gotcha. Okay. I always ask people that because, my farm here in Idaho, it's a small farm. It's 25 acres. And so when folks like you say, oh, we've got a small farm and it's a couple 100 acres, I'm sitting there going, well, that's pretty big compared to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your family has a show pig operation as well.
Yep, we do.
Okay, tell me about that and how long has that been going on?
So we started about 11 or 12 years ago when my older sister Lauren was younger. They decided to enroll her in our local county 4-H. So she got really involved in that, and my dad had pigs when he was younger, so they decided to go ahead and start showing pigs. A few years after that, they decided to go ahead and start breeding instead of just buying show pigs to show. So that's kind of how the whole operation got started. And then when I was around 4-H age, I went ahead and started showing pigs, and then shortly thereafter acquired my own breeding gilts and started breeding my own litters.
Oh, really? So you got your own gilts and you started taking care of that on your own?
Yep.
Okay, very cool. Now, do you AI your pigs or do you use a boar?
We do AI, but we have a heat check boar on site.
Okay. All right. So we raise cattle and goats and pigs here on our farm, but I am a horrible pig farmer. Horrible. I don't even AI. I just use a boar. But, man, I've got a brand new gilt, and she's not pregnant, and she should be.
That's a problem.
It is if you're trying to have pigs born on your farm. It's a distinct problem. So that's my that's my Achilles heel here on my place. So I'm glad you've got it down. I could probably learn quite a bit from you. Well, how long have you been part of the FFA, Mallory?
I was a part of the FFA all 4 years in high school, and I was extremely active within my section and my chapter.
Okay, very good. Now, why did you join? What made you want to be part of this organization?
My older sister was actually like the biggest influence on me. I know everyone probably says that, but she was really active throughout her FFA career, and she learned a lot and gained a lot of knowledge and leadership skills that I really wanted to acquire for later on in my life. So I really decided to just jump in head and foot like she did.
Okay, very cool. So you had the inspiration of your sister.
Yes.
And now, at some point, you decided to become part of the officer team. So what led you to that? Why did you want to, I guess, take it to that next level?
I mean, we had a little bit of a green hand officer team. We didn't really do much, but I really liked the idea of being in charge of things and being able to help other students excel within the FFA and outside of it, and then have the same kind of experience I had. So leading up to my senior year, that's what really caused me to become more involved as a section officer, not just a chapter officer, just to help those other students who couldn't have the same connection that I did to agriculture by growing up on a farm. I wanted to get them as involved as I could.
Got it. Well, very good. And so did you have some success doing that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would say so, but you'd have to ask the kids that come around. But I think that we had a really good time when we were together within FFA, and we really learned a lot from each other.
Very good. Well, that is great. Well, let's talk about, let's acknowledge your FFA advisor really quick. I always like to do that in the show and give kind of a shout out to them. Who was that for you?
My FFA advisor was Mallory Burgener. She is an amazing FFA advisor. She has always been there for her students, and she just always commits herself fully to our FFA chapter and making sure that all the students in the chapter feel welcome. And she's just a really amazing advisor that Central A&M is very lucky to have.
Very cool. Well, thank you for acknowledging her. Really do appreciate that. And really quick, Mallory, if it's all right with you, I want to talk about one of my sponsors really quick, some folks who support the show.
Of course. Go ahead.
All right. Well, everybody, I'm going to be talking about Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. They are an absolutely fantastic sponsor, a fantastic supporter of agriculture, and they prove that every week by being sponsors of this show and supporting the little guy, which is me, and this small show that just wants to talk about ag, and they're here to support it. And in addition to all that, they make absolutely fantastic livestock handling equipment, and they have been doing so for over 80 years. Of course, they started out here in the West making livestock handling equipment for large livestock, specifically cattle. They come in off of our public lands, and they only see humans once or twice a year, and they do not like being close to those folks. And so you've got to have good equipment to minimize that stress, minimize the potential for injury, and make it safe for the handlers. And they've done just that. I've toured the factory. They make unbelievable stuff, and I use Powder River right here on my own farm with my own cattle. So everybody, please go over to powderriver.com, check out what they've got to offer for you, and let them know that Matt Breckwald from the Off Farm Income Podcast sent you to them. All right, Mallory, thanks for letting me do that.
Of course.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. So I'm anxious to hear what you've been doing.
So my SAE was and is swine production entrepreneurship. So I kept my record book throughout my 4 years in high school and kept a detailed and accurate record of everything I did on my farm. So that included feeding, showing, AI, breeding, heat check, stuff like that. I was really happy that I was involved in it, and as involved as I was, because I really learned a lot from my SAE, not just about technical applications that come from being on a small show pig operation, but learning the leadership skills and how to properly care for my animals with compassion.
Very cool. So when we were talking earlier about you getting your own gilts and kind of going out on your own, was that the beginning of your SAE?
Yes, we started doing, I got a little bit more management of my actual gilts. Of course, my dad and my sister helped me out a lot in the beginning. So as my SAE progressed, I got more management over them. So I was able to, towards the end, definitely pick out all of my sires and decide what litters I wanted to breed for when and stuff like that.
Okay. So how many sows or gilts do you have now?
Currently, I only have 2 because I am not back on the farm yet. I'll have more when I move home. But we decided to cut down my show pig operation just because I'm not home to manage them. So I only have 2 sows right now.
Okay. Now, when this is going strong, how are you marketing these pigs? How are you getting the word out that you've got these show pigs for sale?
Most of it was just by word of mouth, honestly, because we went to so many national and state shows that we just go around and, people see us and they know us and they know that we bring quality livestock. So they always ask if we have any litters on the ground. And we, of course, always are so friendly to everyone who wanted to buy any kind of pigs from us. And that's pretty much how we marketed for it.
Okay, very good. Well, so what has this taught you about entrepreneurship? Is it something that you want to pursue going forward in the future?
I would definitely like to go home and have my own show pig operation completely to myself when I finally move home after college. But right now, I think it's probably a good call that I'm not having that many sows around just because I'm not home to take care of them. And it's a lot of stress to put on to being in college and stuff. But I think definitely going into the future, I want to have my own show pig operation at my own home.
And then along the way through high school, did you compete for any proficiencies or any awards or anything like that?
Yes. With my record book, I competed the last 2 years of high school because that's just how it goes at our high school. You have seniority. So as you get older, if there's someone that doesn't have the same book as you, you get to compete.
Okay.
So for my 2 years, the first year I made it to the district level. And I lost there, but it's all good because I competed the next year and I won state with my record book.
You did. Very cool. So which award did you win at the state level?
I was the state winner in the proficiency area of swine production entrepreneurship.
That is great. Congratulations. That's a really good accomplishment.
Thank you.
You bet. So was that last spring? Was that the 2019 award?
Yes.
Very cool. Well, that's great. So, do they Do they present that to you at the Illinois State FFA convention? Is that where that takes place?
Yep, I went on stage and I made my video about my hog operation, and then that played while I was receiving my award from the state officers.
That is great. Wow, it must have been a thrill to hear your name called.
Yes, it was very nerve-wracking, honestly, to be up there in front of all those people and just standing there like, better smile.
Yeah, put on your best face. And what do you prepare for you not to hear your name and then you're surprised when you do? Is that how that works?
You know that you are the winner on the day of your interview, so you go and they announce your name, and then you know that you're the state winner, so you start going through the whole process.
Okay.
That puts you on stage, which is just like the paperwork, and then the Illinois FFA Association makes a little video where you talk about your operation. Okay,
very cool. Well, that is good. Great for you. Now, I want to ask you about your major. So you're majoring in ag business, which I get, and then supply. That's the first time I've heard those two things put together. So tell me about how you chose your major and what you want to do with it.
So when I first decided in high school that I was going to go to secondary education, I really didn't know what my major was. And I still really don't know what I want my major to be, but I know that at some point I want to go back to college to become an agriculture teacher.
Okay.
But before that, I would like to have an ag business degree and go out into the world of production agriculture and get a little bit more experience out there so I can bring it back to my classroom when I decide to go back. Very cool. So you want to go back into the classroom. That's great news. We need great FFA advisors out there. Yes, we do. So do you want to stay in Moweaqua? Do you want to be in that area and teach where you came through high school, or do you have your eyes on another region? I would like to stay close to home. I know that I can't decide where I'm going to be teaching because that'll be chosen in the future with the job openings and stuff like that, but I would like to stay in the central Illinois area to teach. Well, that is great, Mallory. That's very, very exciting to hear about. And I want to ask you, for another student who's out there and they're looking at their future, they know they want it to be in ag, but they're not quite sure what to major in or how to get there. What advice would you have for them when they're getting started in college on how to pick, how to begin learning? I would just tell them to explore all the opportunities that you can. So just go, if there's anybody that comes into your classroom and talks to you about job openings that they have, even if you don't want to get a job there, just go and ask them what kind of work would be there so you can start feeling out what kind of job you would like to do. Lakeland has some great companies that come in and talk to all their students about the agriculture opportunities around here. And I think that's really what helped me pick my major out, too.
Very cool. Great advice. Mallory, thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for sharing all this with us and being part of the show.
Yep, thank you.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining me for episode number 685 of the Off-Farm Income Podcast and checking out the YouTube version. And we hope you'll join us over on the podcast side and subscribe and review us as well on iTunes. Have a great day. Enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.